All right, let's dive right in. We're going to take a journey into probably the most complex machine on the entire planet. And guess what? You're operating it right now. We're talking about the incredible highway system that's running inside your body, working nonstop 24/7 just to keep you alive.
I mean, have you ever really stopped to think about it? How does every single cell in your body, from a tiny neuron firing in your brain all the way down to a muscle cell in your little toe, get exactly what it needs to survive every single second? They all need fuel, they all need oxygen, and they all need the trash taken out. So how does this all happen like flawlessly, billions and billions of times a day?
Well, the answer is pretty amazing. Your body is running a delivery service that's way more sophisticated than anything we could ever build. It's got an engine, a massive road network, and a central loading dock, all working in perfect, beautiful harmony. And you know, any great delivery service, it's got to start with a powerful engine.
So, let's talk about that engine. At the absolute center of this whole operation is the one powerful, relentless pump driving everything. And of course, that's your heart.
So where is this thing exactly? What's its address? Well, it's tucked away perfectly right in the center of your chest, in a little space between your lungs. It actually rests on top of your diaphragm, and it's tilted just a bit, with about 2/3 of it hanging out to the left of your breastbone. That's why you feel your heartbeat more on that left side. And this very specific angle, it's not random. It's absolutely crucial for pumping blood efficiently to literally every corner of your body.
Okay, so how does this amazing pump actually work? It's this brilliant four-chambered loop. Let's follow the blood on its journey, okay? First, all the used blood from your body, the deoxygenated stuff, gets dumped into the right atrium. From there, it drops down into the right ventricle, which gives it a good shove on a quick trip over to the lungs. Think of it like a pit stop to drop off CO2 waste and pick up fresh oxygen. Then, this newly re-energized, oxygen-rich blood comes back into the left atrium, and finally, it goes into the real powerhouse, the left ventricle. And that chamber gives it the massive push it needs to travel to the rest of the body.
And you know, this whole process reveals something pretty incredible. Your heart isn't just one pump. It's actually two pumps working right next to each other. The right side of the heart, that's the pulmonary circuit. Its whole job is a short, pretty low-pressure loop. Just get the blood to the lungs and back. Easy enough. But the left side, that's a whole different story. It powers the massive systemic circuit, a super high-pressure pathway that has to deliver blood to every other part of your body. Two completely different missions, handled by one perfectly synchronized engine. It's just amazing.
Of course, what good is an engine if you don't have any roads, right? So now let's check out the absolutely vast network of highways, main roads, and tiny little side streets that carry all these deliveries. Let's talk about the blood vessels.
So this road network has a few different types of roadways, each with a special job. You've got your massive elastic arteries. Think of the aorta as the main interstate, the superhighway leaving the city. These then branch off into muscular arteries, which are like the main roads that take you to different neighborhoods, or in this case, different organs. Then you get down to the really tiny capillaries. These are the little residential side streets where the actual deliveries are made. And of course, you need a way back. That's what the veins are for. They're the return routes, bringing everything back to home base. And just look at that number for a second. 1/2 a micrometer. That's how thick the wall of a single capillary is. I mean, what does that even mean? To put it in perspective, that's 1 × 2,000ths of a millimeter. It is so thin, it's almost impossible to even imagine. So that brings up a really important question, right? Why on earth would the most critical part of the whole delivery network, the exact spot where all the action happens, be so incredibly, ridiculously thin and fragile? Well, it's a perfect example of one of the most fundamental rules in all of biology. Structure determines function. The wall has to be that thin. There's no other way. It's the key design feature that makes the whole system work. It allows oxygen and all those good nutrients to just effortlessly slip out to the cells, and at the same time, it lets all the waste products slip back in to be hauled away. It's genius.
Okay, so if the capillaries are the little side streets where the deliveries happen, where do the delivery trucks, our red blood cells, get loaded up with oxygen to begin with? Well, that all happens back at the central warehouse, the main hub, your respiratory system.
The path that air takes to get deep into your lungs, it's really just like an upside-down tree. Seriously, it all starts with the main trunk, which is your trachea, or your windpipe. That splits into a couple of major branches, the primary bronchi. And then those branch again and again and again, getting smaller and smaller each time, until you get to these countless little twigs called bronchioles.
and at the very end of those twigs, you find the leaves of the tree, millions of tiny air sacs called the alveoli.
And what's really cool is that as you go deeper down this tree, the structure totally changes. Up top, in the trachea and the big branches, you've got these strong rings of cartilage to keep the airway from collapsing, and a thick, sticky lining to trap any gunk you breathe in. But as you get way down into the tiny bronchioles and alveoli, all that cartilage just disappears. The lining becomes paper thin, and you start to see smooth muscle that can control how much air gets through. The whole system literally transforms from a tough, protective pipe into this incredibly delicate, super efficient surface for one thing: gas exchange.
And this right here, this is the critical point of contact. It's called the blood-gas barrier. It is an impossibly thin wall made of just 3 layers: the wall of the air sac, the wall of the capillary, and a little fused membrane that glues them together. This is the spot. It's where oxygen literally hops from the air you just breathed in right onto your red blood cells for the journey.
Now you can probably imagine, with all this high pressure pumping and leaky delivery vessels, things can get a little messy. There's bound to be some spillage. And that's where our third and final system comes in. This is the unsung hero, the support crew that works behind the scenes, the lymphatic system.
So what's this crew's job? Well, they manage a fluid called lymph. Remember how we said those tiny capillaries are designed to be a little leaky? Well, some of the fluid from your blood naturally seeps out and bathes your tissues. The lymphatic system's main job is to act like a city's drainage and sanitation department. It goes around, collects all that extra fluid, filters it to make sure there are no bad guys in there, and then safely returns it right back into the bloodstream.
And it's got some pretty amazing specialized facilities to get all this done. Your lymph nodes? Think of those as security checkpoints all over your body, constantly scanning the fluid and neutralizing any threats they find. Then there's your spleen. That's like the ultimate recycling center, breaking down old, worn-out red blood cells. And the thymus gland? That's a highly specialized training academy. It's like a boot camp where your most important immune cells, the T lymphocytes, learn how to tell the good guys from the bad guys.
So yeah, the heart, the blood vessels, and the lungs. They might get all the attention. They're the stars of the show. But make no mistake, without the quiet, constant, behind-the-scenes work of the lymphatic system, cleaning up, filtering, and defending, this entire incredible delivery network would grind to a halt and fast.
So when you step back and look at the whole picture, the engine, the road network, the loading docks, and the cleanup crew, all working together, you're left with this system of just breathtaking complexity. It's fully automated, it's self-repairing, and it runs non-stop every second of your life, which really just leaves us with one final big question to chew on. What does all this incredible internal machinery really tell us about the sheer, mind-boggling wonder of life itself?